Why does imposter syndrome hit hardest when building a personal brand?
You should sort of like overcome that philosophy of like you're not qualified, and instead you should flip it and say maybe someone will take some value from what I'm going to give them today. Welcome to the Social Edge podcast. I'm Georgia.
And I'm Isho.
And today we're getting real about imposter syndrome.
Have you ever felt like you're not qualified to talk about what you do? Like somebody's going to call you out on it and call you a fraud? Well, today we're talking about what the world is calling imposter syndrome.
So yeah, we're diving into this today. So imposter syndrome, it's like a bit of a buzzword right now. It's going around on social media. It's making the rounds on the reels.
That's it.
And I guess like when you're building a brand or starting a business, like maybe you've just stepped into entrepreneurship, or even like for big established businesses trying to set themselves apart in the marketplace, this can come up. And what we want to talk about today is one, how a lot of people are sort of facing it, if it is a thing.
Yeah.
But also how you can sort of move past it, circumvent overcome it, and still smash it, right? Because that's what we're trying to help people do, especially some of the people we work with, whether 100%. They're entrepreneurs launching their business, growing their business, or CEOs of large businesses trying to position themselves, or people starting to launch their personal brand. We're going to help you overcome this idea or concept that is imposter syndrome.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I think is important to mention is we've all been through it. We're definitely not going to be the last people going through it. I'm sure up and coming businesses or content creators will come to face it at one point. And I think it's important to just hear like it's okay for you to face it. Embrace it, but don't stay in it too long. And I guess question one that we want to dive into is why does imposter syndrome hit hardest when building a personal brand? Yeah,
so I've thought about this question a lot, you know, in terms of like my personal brand.
Yeah.
I had a previous personal brand that was around me being a lawyer.
Yeah.
And I actually found it really hard to know how to transition that brand. Yeah. Like, I did it personally in my personal life. I transitioned from law to entrepreneur, but figuring out how to to share that with the world on that personal brand, and also figuring out what to do with that personal brand. Did I just shut it down? Did I transform it? Like all of that kind of stuff. I actually went on that journey myself of like, how do I convey what I'm doing? In an authentic way, in a way that like made sense, in a way that wasn't weird.
Sure.
Like it was hard. But I think what I would say is why people probably feel this feeling of imposter syndrome, maybe, is because they're putting themselves out there, right? Yeah. So when it comes to like a personal brand, you're putting yourself out there. Yeah. You're saying like, this is who you are to the world. And you're like if you're creating content, like you're creating reels, you're recording videos.
You're exposing yourself.
You're exposing yourself a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're putting yourself out there. You're like making a stand, right? It's like the equivalent of standing up on a stage and doing a solo. Like, you know, when you were in primary school, like, I don't know, if you were in primary school and they were like, right, you're doing the solo. Yeah. So it's like, you're going to get up on stage and you're going to do a little solo. Yeah. You're really like putting yourself forward on the virtual stage that is the online space. You're going to put yourself out there and you're going to say, this is me. And what, like we discussed previously, when you put something out there, you open yourself up to praise, but you also open yourself up to criticism.
Really? Oh, massively.
So like maybe that's why people are having this like thing. It's not because they don't want to put themselves out there, but they're maybe scared of what is the result of that. Like, are they going to get some backlash?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, let's unpack this because I know you and I have been on a journey together for a little while now, and we've spoken about this before. And especially when we were building our company culture, eStudios, and really thinking about what is it that we want to navigate and how do we navigate some of those specific topics. We talked a little bit about your journey going through law school and then starting at law and navigating teams and personalities. Can you touch a little bit on what affected you as part of the so-called imposter syndrome? What did that look like practically in your day-to-day? Kind of what did you face?
I have to be honest, like I wasn't someone who like, I don't feel like imposter syndrome has been my story. I will say that. But I remember specifically a friend of mine when I was a trainee saying to me, I feel a bit of like imposter syndrome in the meeting, you know, because I'm having to like present this bravado. Like I qualified into corporate law, like specifically in corporate, you had to like, well, some people felt that you had to kind of like put yourselves next to like the big men who were, you know, corporate lawyers.
More experienced.
Yeah, like a typical like I'm just being honest, like a typical white corporate male. Like, and then how do you as like female, for example, like in my case, how do you kind of stand against them and
establish yourself?
Establish yourself. Yeah, like when you're so different. And I'm sure there's so many elements of this. My truth has always been, and this is the case across lots of things, I've probably faced like a bit of like a challenge navigating being like a woman, you know, in terms of like, do I feel held back because I'm a woman, for example, as opposed to being a man? And in like a corporate workplace or like now in entrepreneurship. But the truth is, I think like I personally have always felt that I am an individual and I have something to give to the world.
Absolutely.
And therefore my something to give is more valuable than maybe like someone's opinion of why someone else might be better. And like, it's not about me being perfect. It's just about me having something that I want to share with the world and therefore doing so. And that's always been my encouragement. I feel like I've been someone who's wanted to put myself out there at times, but I have like in how I've done that, maybe I've curated it, maybe at times I've held back. Like, you know, I was saying about transitioning from my lawyer brand, like now developing it into a personal brand. I actually didn't post for like a long time, like a good couple of years, because I was navigating in the background my own journey and I had to figure out, okay, what is the image I want to present online here? So whilst I was navigating that, figuring it out, I then waited before I posted.
I love that.
But some people, and like looking back retrospectively, I do wish I'd just taken people on that journey with me of figuring it out. Rather than do that big pause. But that's retrospect, right? But I think like that's all I would say of my personal journey. Everyone's journey is different. But I think you have to kind of just have to go through those stages of that journey. And
I guess from what I'm hearing on the back of that is obviously you've experienced the feeling. You then have identified, wait a minute, I don't like feeling this. Then realizing that actually you're being held back and the action you've taken is recognizing, number one, you have a lot more value to give that you don't really have had the opportunity or the platform to do so, and then making a transition.
So creating that space,
exactly.
Right? So so like I think social media creates comparison. Right? So it's creating comparison between one person and the next, one business and the next. But at the same time, it creates opportunity for growth, right? Like by seeing what other people are doing well, you can then figure out how to do things better, right? Like we were talking before about a piece of the pie for everyone, right? I think there's room to just see how other people navigate things and learn like how to navigate it yourself. So yes, as a person who's maybe putting yourself out there on social media, personal brand level, it can be intimidating. It can be a little bit scary, like to film that content and put it out there for the world. And you might be scared of backlash, especially if you've got like a strong opinion.
That's
But at the same time, maybe you just need to remember that your like value isn't in someone's negative comment.
That's it.
And your value isn't in like someone disagreeing with you. Actually, your value is in who you are as an individual, and you are also entitled to put your piece of pie out there.
Absolutely.
Because like we all have something to share with this world, right? Like if Albert Einstein was like, my piece of pie isn't worth it, like where would we be today?
Exactly.
You know, all these great like people who've helped us developed over time, like different areas, like all the inventors of the past, like they had something to give to the world, and we all have something to give. So like maybe your piece is still important, and even if like you only influence one person for good, you're still influencing the person.
Absolutely. That's so interesting because it makes me think a little bit of my journey when it comes to like transitioning from working in a 9 to 5 to then going and starting online and really finding my feet in kind of the pressure of, wait a minute, what is my family going to think? What are my friends going to think? How do I navigate this new confidence? How do I communicate it? Talking a little bit about the fraud part where, with any sort of image building, you are discovering who you are on camera. You are discovering this new confidence, because sometimes when you flick on record and you start speaking, you end up like, it happens to me often, I get this confidence of new tone of voice and very hands and emotion orientation around what I want to communicate. And then I stop and I go, what just happened? Right? It's going, I didn't know I have that in me.
Yeah.
But the fear, the imposter syndrome of how are people going to perceive my approach to making the change is what sometimes holds people back.
Yeah. And I think like my dad used to always say something to me about 99% perspiration and 1% aspiration. And I think what the point is, right, it's if you are putting that effort in, like that is worth more sometimes than like the aspiration, the tiny part. Like you can have 2 A-level students with like the same grades, but one has that like charisma to take it forward. And I think like I've seen in my life, maybe I wasn't always the most intelligent.
Sure.
But I was the one who maybe had the drive to go forward.
More ambition to go and figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like
that's interesting.
Talking to what you just said about fraud and obviously like the opening of this conversation, I think like navigating going into entrepreneurship, that question of like, what will my family think? What will my friends think? Yeah. What will like those people who doubted me in university think?
Wow.
And wondering, should I still do it? And then it's like, actually, it's not about them anyway.
But it has a negative application, negative
life.
exposure, right? And often perhaps what we think and what we should do are two massively separate things, in the sense of often, like with this podcast, for example, we had a conversation one day just randomly. It'll be great for us to share personal experience and how we're growing individually, but also corporately as a business. It's like something could be an idea, but finding the right people singing the same song with you can encourage you to drive towards the ambition of actually coming through with it.
And we might have said, well, we're not quite qualified to do this podcast.
Yeah, definitely, sure.
And like, but at the same time, we're who is?
Yeah,
and we're just opening a conversation and saying, hey guys, do you want to listen in on this convo and be a part of it? Like, and actually, I think for those who do want to put some personal elements around their business or their brand, or for those of you who are like businesses and you're looking to grow online and you're wondering, these people are doing it really well and I want to do it too, but how do we do that? I think there's just room to start, right? That's time to plant a tree was yesterday.
That's it, absolutely.
Why not just give it a go? That's the thing. I think like some people we have worked with don't know they're good at creating content until they start creating content.
Oh my gosh. Shout out to some of our team. I mean, this last couple of weeks have been insane in terms of giving some people opportunity to shine and just seeing the ability, which is crazy, by the way. I think the more you create exposure and people step into the space that you're creating, they actually encounter this potential that's been hidden. So oftentimes, for example, with you and I, you have pushed me so much into areas of our business and opportunity that we've had that perhaps I alone would have not seen on my own. Yeah. So I think just going back to what I said originally, who is next to you, who is like beating the drum of your song is really important, because that creates a platform for you to have the courage to go, I am scared, I am nervous, I don't know how it's going to work, but at least I have somebody with me that is on the same wavelength.
But do it anyway.
Like,
what's going to go wrong? Like, you got to give things a try to see if it's like that risk appetite, right?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Sometimes it's worth the calculated risk of having a go.
Yeah.
So like even successful entrepreneurs. Successful people are struggling with this concept of what we're calling imposter syndrome, which really is like fear of starting, right? So they're struggling with this. And why do you think that is?
I think the important part of this is in twofold. One is you'll have to change.
Yeah.
right? You have to change your current way of living, doing the thing that you're trying to perfect or trying to start. You have to change your mindset and your application of it, which is scary. Nobody really likes change too often. And the other part is having to then adapt and commit. Commitment, people fear commitment.
Yeah.
I think, especially in nowadays age of everything is so quick, like with the trends. One week there's a trend of people dancing, another week there's a dog getting a haircut in a barbershop.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, it doesn't make sense, but it's progressive. So yeah, I think it's such a mental picture of people being able to commit to the process, but then adapt to actually making a shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I'm just literally Googling right now, like what is the Google definition of imposter syndrome? So imposter syndrome, also known as imposter phenomenon, is a psychological experience where someone feels like an intellectual or professional fraud. So it's a feeling, right? It's your feeling like you are a fraud, professionally or intellectually, right? But actually it may not be true.
That's
so
it.
It comes back to the idea of like imperfection.
That's it.
And you don't have to be like at the 100% to be able to add value.
Absolutely.
So like Hermosi talks about like the 10%. So it's like the sort of 10% ahead philosophy.
Yeah.
So like by being just 10% ahead of everyone else, you're already more educated to teach.
That's
so if you're just 10% ahead,
awesome.
you can still teach people what you have to give. If you have a concept, an idea, a thought like that's worth sharing, you can still share it. And you should sort of like overcome that philosophy of like you're not qualified, and instead you should flip it and say maybe someone will take some value from what I'm going to give them today. And like I think that is actually the encouragement to get started. It's not that you have to be the most qualified person in the room, but actually if you do have something of value to share, then that value can impact someone's life for better and encourage them to go on their journey. So like today we're talking to businesses and entrepreneurs and anyone who's looking to become a creator online, and we're saying you might have something that someone needs, like so you might have something that's worth sharing. So like we have something that's worth sharing. Hopefully today in this conversation we're sharing something that inspires someone, and that's enough. A seed.
As you were speaking then, it just made me think, do you think when people begin to form these ideas and creative concepts or whatever it may be, do you think before they start they feel like they have to reinvent the wheel? Because I feel like that's part of the conversation which creates also imposter syndrome. For example, $100 million offer that Alex Hormozi created, right? He is so great at lead generation, marketing, sales, that somebody perhaps that's starting in sales might go, well, he's already done it. I need to figure out a new process or a new whatever. Actually isn't the case, I don't think. I think you can work with what you already have, putting your spin and your perspective and your value in the middle of that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think we all have like a different angle on things. So like one of the things, like coming back to like my journey, because that's like my context, right?
Yeah.
Like my husband was already in the marketing space, Gavin.
Yeah.
Shout out to Gavin, co-founder of E Studios.
Let's go.
He was like in the marketing space. I come in, lawyer, not in the marketing space, but I was always creative, like in my personal life. And like when I look back, it's funny because I look back and I look at myself in school, like I did like graphic design when I was in school. Like so awesome. Like year 9, that was one of my options. Loved it. Used to want, like my goal job when I was young, before I decided to go down like the law path, was like I wanted to be an editor-in-chief of a fashion magazine. Sounds weird, but what I used to love was I would look at a cover of Vogue, like a copy of Vogue. I'd go through and I'd love the way they'd present everything on the page, and then like the flow, how they would bring together an issue, the editor note at the beginning. And I used to be like, wow, I'd love to just work with all these people and bring it all together in the way that they did on Vogue. Right? I told my parents, I want to be the editor-in-chief of a fashion magazine. That's what I want to be. And they were like, I think they just couldn't understand, how would you even like curate that career. And they were like, I'm not sure about that one. Like,
They're like creating certainty for you. Do something that's a bit easier within your reach.
So instead, I'm like, I'm 14. I'm watching Legally Blonde. And I'm like, I think I can be Elle Woods. I can be a lawyer.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, Mum, Dad, I'm going to be a lawyer. Right. And then that's it. I fixate on becoming a lawyer and I become a lawyer. Then come around, like become an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And actually, like, I didn't say to myself, I'm going to start a video and social media marketing agency. In fact, it was like there was a need with what was the predecessor agency. And I reinvented it, which has, over the last few years, has become eStudios as it is today. Now, what's wild about that journey is still today, I have friends and family who just assume that eStudios was all Gavin.
Yeah.
Even though it was actually all mainly me, right? But because of his background, they just assume that I was not capable, I piggybacked on it. But actually, it's been different to that. For sure. Gavin is like smashing his space, and he's involved in these studios again now in its growth and development. But we have different roles, and actually, my spin on what he had already established has led to what we've grown today, which is a different angle than maybe he would have taken it in. Equally successful, just different.
That's so interesting.
I think it's interesting when it comes to imposter syndrome, that idea that I could have had, which is like, I'm not capable, I'm not qualified, I don't understand, I don't know marketing, blah, 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 blah. Instead, I just said, I'm going to have a go and like, I'm going to do something different. And I actually want to take it in a different direction. I think like the encouragement in all of that long-winded story is you have maybe a different angle, a different approach. Like you want to take your business in a different direction. And just because someone else is doing something really good doesn't mean that your approach and your thing isn't good.
Wrong. Yeah, that's
but like think about all the big businesses that have grown, like taken off.
Yeah.
You've got like Facebook, like for example, Zuckerberg starts that when he's a uni student. I'm sure there was someone who said to him, like, why would someone want to do that? Oh my gosh,
100%.
Like, why would someone want to have like an online platform like that?
That's it.
Like, and yet here we are today. Like, and it's always like an idea is a seed. You just have to water it, give it a whirl. Who knows what it could be?
But imagine looking back on it now and seeing the evolution of eStudios to now, and the time and energy that's coming. Like, I'm sure there were days where you weren't quite sure. I'm sure there were days where you thought, I'm not sure this is going to work, or you didn't really know how to navigate it. But that journey has gotten us to a point where now we're very successful. Our clients are happy. We have the highest retention ever, which is unheard of in our industry, to retain clients longer than 6 months.
Yeah, like
in
2
the social
years
media.
plus,
Crazy. It's awesome. So really great. But I want to get really practical with you on this, and I want you to help give us clarity and your perspective on this. But how does one overcome imposter syndrome as a content creator, as a business owner? Because the great thing about it is you have a personal brand experience to talk about and touch on, but you also have the entrepreneurial experience also too.
Yeah, how do you keep going?
Yeah, that's
in a world which is constantly beating us.
That's
a social media algorithm that's constantly beating us down.
15-year-old kids that are millionaires nowadays. Right?
So how do you keep going? I feel like you're right. Like those days come where you feel that pressure to stop, or maybe you're not as good as someone else, or you don't you feel like giving up, or you query yourself, you question yourself. But you know what? I think it's just that ability to just keep going. And I think like one of the things that's helped me is I don't profess to be an expert of everything. In fact, I hire experts.
That's it.
You know, so I hire incredible people. You are one of those incredible hires, someone who comes and brings excellence. You know, we have amazing graphic designers, we have amazing video editors. They are the ones that actually bring the vision to life, not me, right? Like I'm just an idea person. I'm a visionary, I suppose. I come up with the vision, cast the vision, and then I put people in place and empower them to make it happen. I think like, so bringing that background to social media, if you are struggling to make it happen online, why not work with someone like us.
That's it.
But
Absolutely.
why not work with someone to help it make it happen, right? Because the thing is, like, I talk to people sometimes and they're like, oh, I really want to grow online. I want to make my business grow online, but I can't edit videos. And I was like, well, I can't edit videos either, you know? Like, you don't need to know how to do everything. You need to partner with someone who can take you further on your journey. Like, there's that idea, isn't it? Like, you can run so far, but then when you partner with someone, you're going to run further. It's like, we're not meant to walk this journey alone. It makes sense in every aspect of our life to partner with people who can take you on that further on that journey. And actually, maybe you've even got a skill set that is the thing that's holding you back. So this is like talking more about business now. If you need someone to help you get to where you need to go, you need to think about what are you looking for, what are you missing, and then bring that into the fold.
So
like add that resource. Like for me, that's what's been able to help with longevity. And we're not there yet, right? We're just still growing. We're still establishing ourselves in the in like a very saturated marketplace. But we're saying, yes, this is a saturated marketplace, but we still there's still room for us. And like I think that's the message, right? Like you don't need to, and like I don't even know if this is gonna resonate with everyone, but that would be my take on it. Like even if you feel like you're not the most qualified, you're something is something. So trust that. And if you need to enhance it by like working with someone who can help you get there, like maybe you have an amazing business. Maybe you have a real great story, but you need help crafting that story into storytelling. Work with someone who can help you tell your story. Like that's probably one of the things we work with our clients on. We say like, you've got a great story. Let us help you reframe your story so it's palatable to the people listening. Because like a lot of people have a great story. They're just presenting it wrong. Like we've worked with clients before.
Oh my
They're
gosh,
creating content. They've got an amazing story. They should be doing better. But because they're just like they're not cooking people in the first second.
They don't know how to craft.
They don't know how to craft their story. Then they're not resonating with people online. Well, maybe you just need to reframe your idea. And once you've reframed it, you're going to start to see the reach you deserve. And then
I love that.
So maybe your imposter syndrome's actually in inadequacy because you've got one inadequacy, but you've got so much good to give. And that one inadequacy is pulling you down. But maybe if you partner with someone who's going to help you overcome that inadequacy, you'll see more results.
Oh my gosh. And the interesting thing about this is that there are so many people out there that struggle a lot with crafting the message, but they're able to do everything else. The video, the perfect lighting, the perfect this, but they can't get the message. So if you are somebody who has the mission, has the vision, has the goal, has the whole roadmap of where you want to go and what the end result is, but you don't know how to start, those are things that you can outsource. Those are things that you can get creative help on. And there are a lot of businesses like our own. In the description below will pop our website. You can always go and have a look. But the important part is you're not in it alone. And at the end of the day, there are a lot of people that can come and really magnify the vision and all the things that come into play. So
and so
great thought.
I feel like this is like kind of a big thing. Instead of saying I'm not an expert in this area, you say I have experiences worth sharing.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. And we all do, right? And you do. If you're listening, you do. So just grasp that and keep it going. Like embrace that you're an individual. We're all individuals in this world. We're all different. We all have a unique voice and we all have a story worth sharing. So people aren't going to follow you or your business or your brand because of perfection. They will follow you because they want your perspective on things. They will follow you because you have a view different to their own and they're interested in hearing more about it. So it's like, yes, Hormozi, like for example, let's just pick on him. We keep coming back to him, but it's just because he pops onto our heads. But let's talk about Layla because she's just as much of a queen and just as much of an expert as her husband, who's also really successful. But like, you know what? Like, people won't follow Layla because they always agree with her. They'll follow her for her perspective because she has something like to share. She has an opinion and she has something that's worth listening to. So like maybe you're worrying too much about your audience always agreeing with you, but maybe you just have to focus more on the fact that someone might just want to listen to what you have to say.
But also what she says, which I absolutely love, is I wouldn't tell somebody to do something I haven't done before. So any advice or content she shares comes out of a place of trial and tribulation.
Yeah.
Right? It comes from a place where she has been there, done that, figure out a better way to do it. And surely there are even better ways now, perhaps, on other processes that maybe somebody else has better than her. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean she will communicate that she's the best. But I think it's always about how you navigate what you're saying, how you're saying it, and setting a standard for people to know, hey, we don't know everything, but we are very good at following where the market's going, what people are looking for, and ultimately trial and error. I think that's the important part to understand.
Just willing to test different things and see how that pans out.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I feel like this has given someone something to think about, right? Like maybe if you've just been struggling to get started, like, or maybe there's something holding you back, you wanting to launch your personal brand off the back of your business, or maybe your business is struggling to grow on socials, for example, and you're thinking like, I need to invest in this, but I'm worried about putting myself out there, or I'm worried about putting my face behind my brand. Mm-hmm. What you need to think about is like, you're getting started doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be like honest and authentic to who you are, and trust that like someone probably wants to hear what you have to say. And like coming back to those 15-year-old kids that are smashing it on TikTok and becoming these like world-class creators, like maybe it's just because they were willing to put themselves out there.
Take the risk.
Take the risk, not be ashamed. Like, right, does it come back to shame maybe? Like people are feeling like a little bit ashamed, or feeling like that sense of like that naked impression, right? Like I don't want people to see me for who I really am. But just trust it, right? Like just trust that you have something to give. Give it a whirl. That's what I say.
Think about where you could be in. I mean, where I am now compared to 5 years ago is insane. It all took kind of this transition based on stepping out and trying. But I think that's great. I think hopefully you guys have taken a bunch of notes on this. There's a lot more episodes that are coming up. So if you haven't checked episode 1 and 2, stick around. They'll come up just right now for you to go and take a look. But I think there's been a lot for people to consume there.
Yeah, this is one where you're just going to digest.
That's it.
We're going to leave you with these questions. You have to figure them out. And just know that imposter syndrome may never fully disappear if you feel it. But you can navigate that.
Absolutely. Drop us a comment. Would love to hear your story as well on the back of this video. Until then, we'll see you on the next one.